materials and chemistry, it would still be worth worrying about the effects that mass immigration have on our total population numbers. So the question is, how many people is too many? In Washington, you will never hear that question. More bodies in...
Critical race theory hurts Black America. Critical race theory is a cancer in our society. It is a race-obsessed worldview. Can you believe it? Yes, that's right. I'm still here. Living in this tent for 100 days from November the 20th to February 28th, bringing you issues and making you aware about the violence on the south side of Chicago. We're also trying to raise as much money as possible to build a community center on a block that is much needed, a block called O Block. It's called O Block because it's named after a young man named Odie Perry who was shot and killed. The gangs took the O in his name, started calling it O Block. We decided we're going to keep the O, but we're going to make an opportunity block. I'm so grateful and thankful to Fox Network for giving this opportunity to give you rooftop revelations. To share with you my thoughts, my opinions, my expressions. Today I want to share with you something that has been a hot topic around the country. I want to talk about critical race theory. That's right. I believe that critical race theory hurts Black America. Critical race theory is a cancer in our society. It is a race-obsessed worldview. Over the past several years, this dangerous far-left ideology has managed to creep into our schools. Critical race theory says that America is an inescapably racist nation. All of our institutions are based on oppression of racial minorities. In my work as a pastor on the south side of Chicago, I've seen critical race theory in various forms taught in our local school, and I've witnessed firsthand how this ideology hurts the Black community. That's right, I believe it hurts the Black community. Critical race theory is based on many lies. And I want to focus on 3 of those lies that are especially damaging in the Black community. The first lie is an integral part of the ideology. This lie says that an individual's race is his or her defining trait. Nothing is more important than one's race. Race determines our position in life, our ability to achieve, and how others will treat us according to this theory. This lie distorts not only an individual's identity, but also his or her entire ability to be relational. Christianity teaches that our most important relationship is the one we have with Christ. And that relationship comes with a proper understanding of who we are, children of God. Critical race theory only undermines and understands relationships as defined by race, which makes a common identity such as fellow Americans an impossibility. The second lie is that there is an enduring power struggle because most people are racist in their core, or to their core. Building a community on the south side of Chicago requires setting aside our own biases and assumptions about other people. Black Americans are absolutely, I believe, hurt by an ideology that tells them their white neighbors are racist oppressors, forcing them to think of themselves outside of the community and to distrust their fellow citizens. The third big lie is that capitalism is a form of white supremacy. According to critical race theory, capitalism excludes blacks. Not surprisingly, this lie does nothing to encourage Black youth to apply themselves or to participate in the economy. The objective here is to stir up Marxist grievances. Karl Marx used class struggles to spark enthusiasm for his call for world communism. Well, critical race theory used race in place of class, aiming to instill that same hatred for free market capitalism. One of our most successful projects has been Project Hood, a community-based resource center that provides job training programs, entrepreneurships, internships, mentorships, counseling, homework help for students, amongst other services. But critical race theory teaches that capitalism holds black people down. But the exact opposite has been our experiences. One of our jobs program is a construction course. Participants include former gang members and individuals who recently are released from prison. They receive everything they need to get started, even the work boots to wear for their on-site training project. At the end, many of those who complete the program go on to have successful careers in the construction field. I've seen firsthand how rejecting the lies of critical race theory is the beginning of doing the transformative work in individuals' lives. We see daily the power of transformed lives through this jobs program, through the promise that comes from participating in honest work in our capitalist system. On the south side of Chicago, we are empowering and overcoming racial divisions, teaching people to love their neighbors regardless of race, and equipping individuals to escape poverty and crime through jobs programs and other programs that are needed. Critical race theory cannot accomplish any of these things, and I believe it only undermines our work. That's the reason why at Project Hood, we don't go by critical race theory. We believe in the systems of America and that they will work if you work.
I preached a message a couple weeks ago about this guy that went up in these weather balloons in a lawn chair because he said, I just couldn't sit there. And I just think that if more people just say, I just couldn't sit there, I got to do something.
Right.
And I just saw this as something to be in solidarity with you, with what's happening down here.
Hey, we're still here, that's right. My name is Pastor Corey Brooks, and I'm on top of this rooftop for 100 days, from November 20th to February 28th, bringing awareness to the violence in Chicago, but most of all, trying to raise enough funds to build a community center on this block that is much needed called O Block. It's called O, named after a young man named O.D. Perry who was shot and killed. The gangs picked up his name and started calling it O Block. We decided to keep the O, but we want to call it Opportunity Block. Every day, Fox gives me the opportunity to bring you rooftop revelations, and I am so thankful. Today I have with us a guest. His name is Paul Glyman. He's a pastor, and we're going to jump right in. We're going to talk just a little bit about what's going on in Chicago, and he's in the suburbs, and we're here in Chicago, but he knows enough. And one of the things that we've been discussing is we really feel like one of the things that we're missing out on is unity. And so, Paul, when we talk about unity, and we talk about getting rid of the violence and the poverty in Chicago, how do you see that becoming a part of the whole scenario?
I think for us as the church, the Bible tells us we're the body of Christ. It doesn't say we have to try to be. It doesn't say that we should be. It says that we are.
Yes.
And that Christ is the head. And when, I appreciate what you're doing down here. That's why I came down. I wanted to be a part of it. But I needed someone to kind of show me how we can do something in a positive way. But I was just saying to you that what if you got a text from someone and they said, what did you send me this message for? What is it? Why did you say this? And you say, I didn't send them a message, but your thumb just did its own thing. But sometimes that's where we are in the body of Christ. We're not working together. But so it's a challenge I'm giving our church that this year, if you beginning of the year, just say, man, I'm gonna listen to the head, I'm gonna listen to Jesus, and I'm gonna go with the rest of the body. And I think that we can accomplish so much more together than we can just by ourselves.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I think one of the things that we see in America is a great divide. And one of the reasons why we're not accomplishing as much as we probably could accomplish is because we are such a divided nation, and people are so divided. We're black and white, and Christians and non-Christians, and Republicans and Democrats. But there comes a time when there have to be some causes where we have to be unified. And that's the reason why I think violence is something that we can all come to the rescue for. And so I appreciate you being here. But I want to ask you this. Why would you come all the way from the suburbs to the south side of Chicago on top of this rooftop?
Well, Chicago is my home. I mean, I live in the suburbs, but, and when I've said this to people, I've been to basically every major city in the United States except Boston. Chicago is such a beautiful city, but it does have a reputation for violence. Which one is it? Is it the beautiful city or the violent city? It's both. But I want to do something. I preached a message a couple weeks ago about this guy that went up in his weather balloons in a lawn chair because he said, I just couldn't sit there. And I just think that if more people just say, I just couldn't sit there, I got to do something. And I just thought this is something to be in solidarity with you, with what's happening down here, and I'm excited about what's happening here. I want to be a part of it.
Absolutely. I'm grateful for your presence and thankful because I think that we as pastors can work together more often and somehow figure out ways to get our churches to work together more often. There's so much that we can accomplish to help the world. And going forward, what do you see yourself doing more of? Do you think taking more action steps toward things like this in your future? And what do you tell people to encourage them to do the same?
Well, absolutely. We chatted a little bit earlier, but I've done a lot of short-term mission trips, and a lot of them to Chicago. But, a lot of times as the pastor, I can kind of get my foot in the door. And so I know that, our people on Sunday are really going to be excited to hear about what happened. And I know I'm going to have some stories to tell them.
Yeah.
And chat with them. You can do similar kinds of things, and we can find ways that we can partner, where we can partner as West Coast Community Church with Project Bay.
Yeah. I want to thank Paul, and I want to thank all of you who have consistently been supporting our efforts and showing unity from all across America, from every state and every city that you can imagine. People have been coming to our aid and to our assistance because that's what it's really going to take. In order for us to build this center, in order for us to change and save more lives, it's going to take all of us working together. So I want to thank Fox for giving us this platform every day, Rooftop Revelations. And I want to thank all of the American people for just being so awesome and so wonderful. It's great to be an American and live in the US of A. So God bless America. God bless you, Paul, and your church. And thank you for being here today. And hopefully we'll do some more work. Amen. As I always say, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Dear Reese's, I hope this letter finds.
My mission is also to bring opportunity to the community as well, because I lost so many friends that I know if they had the certain opportunities that I had, they most likely would never have been in the predicaments that they were in when they did pass away. What's up, everybody? My name is Pastor Corey Brooks, and you know where I am.
That's right, I'm on the rooftop for 100 days from November the 20th to February the 28th, staying in this tent, bringing about awareness to the violence in Chicago, but most of all, trying to raise as much money as we possibly can to build a center on this block that is called O Block. O, named after a young man named O.D. Perry who was shot and killed. The gangs adopted his name, the O, the letter O, started calling it O Block. Well, I tell you every single day, our goal is to keep the O, but to name it Opportunity Block. So we're here today, and I'm grateful with my youngest son. That's right, my youngest son who grew up in this neighborhood that we're in, and he's now a sophomore at Morehouse in Atlanta, Georgia, going to school, working on his degree. But it's been tough living in this neighborhood, and I wanted to share from his perspective today just how tough it's been and why some kids don't make it out. So his name is Corey, but we call him Kobe. And so welcome to the show, Kobe. My rooftop revelations. Welcome home. I know you're away from school and you're home, but I wanted to jump in and talk about living in the neighborhood. How tough it is. You know, we could have easily moved out to the suburbs or something like that, but we decided to stay in the neighborhood. We decided to be a part of the neighborhood. Sometimes I struggle with, was that a good decision or a bad decision, because you all encounter so much growing up, your brothers and sisters. But how tough is growing up in this neighborhood?
I'd say it's kind of very tough to grow up in this neighborhood because it's not a lot of opportunity, like, as far as, like, people outside of, like, where like, besides the church, really, there's no real opportunity I see, like, in the community for our people. Like, it's nowhere for them to, like, go work on homework or go work on, like, their craft, like, whatever they're good at. Like, they have nobody really investing time into them except for really the church. And it's like they go through so much on both ends, like, you know, being tied up, you know, with other things,
Right.
and not growing up having the proper opportunities it kind of like
Makes it tough.
it's tearing them, you know.
Yeah, so let me ask you about that. You know, we talk all the time about creating opportunities and helping a lot of kids, helping your friends. But you lost a lot of friends too in the neighborhood. Can you talk about that for a minute? I know it's painful. I know we talk about the pain of it. And I try to urge you to go to counseling because, you know, post-traumatic stress. But, you know, go ahead.
So I can say I lost about at least that I can think of just right off the bat. I lost 6 friends in the past 5-6 years. And I can say it's been very traumatizing, but it's also made me part of who I am today. And by that I'm saying, like, they all, like, left a certain lesson with me. Like, it kind of molded me into, like, seeing what my life was supposed to, like, what my mission is almost. Like, I feel like my mission is also to, like, bring opportunity to the community as well. Because I lost so many friends that I know if they had certain opportunities that I had, they most likely would never have been in the predicaments that they were in when they did pass away.
Yeah, because even though, you know, you grew up in the same neighborhood, you grew up in the household with your mom, your dad, your brothers and sisters, a family unit, and a lot of times, these kids, unfortunately, all they have to depend on is their moms. Their dads are sometimes locked up or, you know, wherever, and it's real tough, it's real difficult.
And 9 times out of 10, the mom is always at work, so it's really, they depend on themselves and their siblings. It's like they looking at each other to raise each other instead of parents. Like, but I didn't have the same, you know, story.
You know what? I'm gonna ask you one more quick question about gangs. Why is it that in our neighborhood that you automatically, like, I know for a fact you've never been in a gang, you're never in a gang, you know, you're a great kid, but you know, you have friends who have that lifestyle. you know, because they live in certain neighborhoods. Why is it that even though you've never been in a gang, that you automatically get associated with a certain group of people just because you live there? Why is that? What is that about?
I can say, from my standpoint and like from my outside looking in, I can say it's really like people involve themselves in gangs because it's protection almost. Like that's how they look at it. There's no real providers out here for them. There's no real protectors. So they look to the guys on the block, the big brothers on the block, and that's their role models. That's what they run up behind. That's all they see. So that's the road they tend to take, and other people associate you because that's who you around. And even though you may never say, yeah, I'm this, just because you hang with them or like you from this certain area, or it's like even if y'all blood, it's a lot of certain things that can just tie you in, and it's not. I don't think that's right because I don't think nobody should be like judged about where they live at or the circumstances they're labeled or you feel me about the circumstances they came from. I feel like you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Like you gotta get to know people first. You never know. You might look at a kid think he a gangbanger, but he might be the smartest kid that you ever came across. Like he just never. That's what I'm saying exactly. Like I really just met kids smarter than guys I went to school with at a private school. Like they just don't have the same opportunity, the same money to go to these certain schools or to go to these certain communities or like community centers. And like there's nobody really pouring any opportunity or wisdom into them. So they kind of lose track and guidance when growing up. And they look towards what they see and what's closest to them, and that's what's in the neighborhood.
So last question. So do you think a community center will help in our neighborhood and why?
I honestly think the community center will be one of the biggest things that'll happen to this community. Not just the community of Chicago, really. Like, I feel like, well, I know for a fact it'll open up plenty jobs for everybody in the community, one. And two, I know some of the things that we're going to have in the community center, like a basketball court, studios, dance studios, theater, auditorium, like, there's so many
Carpentry classes.
there's some classes, construction classes, like, there's so many outlets for kids to express themselves that we didn't have growing up. Like, we had bits and pieces of it through the church, but the community center will be devoted to really building an opportunity for everybody in Chicago, more than just this one community. I feel like it's not only like gonna be a blueprint for like other communities in Chicago, but communities around the country, like, and eventually around the world.
Absolutely. I believe that. So listen, it's always good being able to talk to my son and share thoughts with him, and I'm so glad and so proud of him being able to grow up in this neighborhood and not just grow up in the neighborhood, but make good choices and see and then try to be helpful to some of his friends, and that's what it's all about. I want to thank Fox as always for allowing me to share my rooftop revelations, and like I always say, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace. Here's another word God is saying to us. It must move us to a place of where we are to a place to where we need to go. I'm still here. That's right. My name is Pastor Corey Brooks, and I'm still here in this tent for 100 days, bringing attention and awareness to the violence in Chicago and also across America. I am here tonight with a friend all the way from Brooklyn who is staying on the rooftop with me tonight as we talk about these various issues. So I want to say welcome to our Rooftop Revelations. I want to jump right in and just dig on a topic that has been on my mind. And having Pastor Gil Ramos here tonight from Brooklyn is going to help me with this topic. Pastor, one of the things I realized when we talk about violence and the work that we do, our work is very similar. And I realized in this work that politicians try to policy their way through the problems. But for us, it's more than policy. It's about using faith, right, to tackle these problems. The question I want to ask you is, how do you believe that faith fills the gap when it comes to working in these areas of violence?
Right. So thank you for that, Pastor Brooks. I think that politicians are called to make policies, and pastors are called to people. And because we're called to people, we're definitely concerned about the policies that politicians make. And therefore, because of our faith, we must be engaged and involved in policy, because policy, again, affects our people. So when you're looking at policy, you have to look at it from a standpoint, from a humanistic standpoint. How would this affect the person that I want it to help? And so you can't do policy on money. You can't do it on favoritism. It must be about people. You know, Jesus said something that I think that we should all remember, and he talked about the fact that he said that the poor you always have a hunger. And so his work and his daily life was around the poor. He was around people who they considered to him a white godly. They considered to him that he was a friend of the sinners, because he was around the people who, if you have the right policy, they'll be pulled out of poverty. And so I think that, again, politicians need to make the right decision when they're making policy to really help the people.
And as we talk about faith, we live in this secular society, and how do you think it is that faith responds as we move into these environments? I know for me, faith is so important because without that God presence, without that godly work, it's empty. And so my faith is what pushes me into action. It's what causes me to love people. It's what causes me to have love for my neighbors.
Right.
And it's that faith. Do you think it's that faith that we need if we're going to change this issue that we're faced with, especially with the violence?
Yeah, I think for us too as well, is that we must have faith that moves God, right? I mean, you have to have faith to be in this cold for sure. But that faith that we're talking about must propel us to action. You can't have faith without movement. There is no time in the Bible where you have seen that there were individuals who have faith and will stand still. Like in the sense of not moving forward.
Right.
So our faith must propel us. Based on what the word of God is saying to us, it must move us to a place of where we are to a place to where we need to go. And so I think that is one thing that is really powerful about faith. It drives you, it pushes you, it moves you in the direction of God.
Well, listen, it's all about having that good faith that Eli Steele writes about and talks about. Shelby Steele writes and talks about that good faith. And that's what we're trying to practice. So until then, so tomorrow, I'm going to still be on this group. Please keep praying. Please keep supporting. Thank you to my Fox family for giving us this platform. for Rooftop Revelations. Until the next time, as I always say, peace.
Here she is.
Because my daughter didn't have the father example of a man, so I had to step up and be that power example of a woman, and to encourage my daughters that nothing, don't allow nothing or anything stop you.
Hello, everybody. Can you believe it? I'm still right here. That's right. On the south side of Chicago, living in this tent for 100 days from November the 20th to February 28th, bringing awareness about the violence in Chicago. Also trying to raise money to build a community center on this block called O Block. It's called O Block because it's named after a young man named O.D. Perry who was shot and killed. The gangs kept the O in his name and started calling it O Block. We decided we're going to keep the O, but we're going to call it Opportunity Block. I want to thank Fox for giving me this opportunity to bring you again Rooftop Revelations. Every now and then I wake up with ideas or thoughts and opinions, and I think about people who have become what I want to call a success story as far as it relates to what we do at Project Hood and New Beginnings Church. And if there ever was a person who epitomizes our story of success through struggle, it's this sister who's right here with me today. I'm so excited to have her with me. Tanya is here. Thank you for being here, Tanya. I know it's cold.
It's okay.
I want to jump right in and tell your journey and tell your story. You've been such a blessing to everything that we do, and you've been a strong part of everything we do. You're a successful nurse now, but that's not the story. That's more to the story than that. Your husband was tragically shot and killed about how many years ago?
It'll be 15 years September.
15 years ago, September. Can you tell us about that experience and tell us what happened?
On September 2nd, 2007, I was at church and got a call telling me to come to A&R Lee's funeral home. When I got to the funeral home, I noticed police and everyone everywhere, and to find out that my husband was shot and killed in his vehicle.
Yeah. I know the story. How many times was he shot?
He was shot on that day. He was shot like 7 times.
7 times. And he was shot and killed by a group of guys who we later found out were part of a crew who have been robbing people and killing people all over Chicago, and they've since been convicted and in federal prison now. But to add insult to injury, not only was he shot and killed, but that left you with 5 little girls. I want to talk about that because you have been so strong and such a good parent. Tell us about the experience of having to raise 5 girls when their father has been shot and killed.
Woo. It wasn't easy. I had 5 daughters who was left fatherless. I'm a very strong woman, and I always wanted to set a goal for my children. So I kept praying. That was number 1. Because just think about raising 5 daughters with no father in Chicago, the south side of Chicago. So they all, one got an attitude this day, one acting up that week, the next week another one acting up. It was plenty of times I had to leave work to go up to the school because my daughter was acting out in anger, and I had to leave work. I get to the school. She was in so much pain because of the death of her father, so she reacted out in anger. So with the help of New Beginnings Church, Pastor Brooks, Project Hood, I had to get a little counseling for my kids and myself. And I always told myself was, I won't give up. I couldn't give up because I had 5 young ladies watching me.
Let me give you an example. And so, not only were you, here it is, your husband's been shot and killed, you got these 5 girls, you're working a full-time job, having to do everything that a parent has to do for 5 girls, but you found time, and this is what really is amazing. You found time to go back to school. Why did you go back to school? I mean, because you could have just worked your job to feed your 5 girls. Why did you go back to school?
I went back to school because I had a goal. And my goal was always I wanted to be a nurse. So I had to set examples to my 5 daughters. No matter what you're going through in life, you can always be whatever it is you choose to be. Nothing can stop you if that's what your mind is set to. So one day I just said, you know what, I'm going to go back to school. And thank God that I was able to go to school during the hours that my kids was in school. And still work. My job made it possible for me to be able to leave work, start work different hours so I can finish my career. I had to be an example because my daughter didn't have a father, example of a man. So I had to step up and be that power example of a woman and to encourage my daughters that don't allow nothing or anything stop you. So I went back to school. While they was in school, I got my associate's degree first. Still with my kids in school, still was working. I went back to school and got my bachelor's in nursing. Still while my kids is in school, to my youngest graduating from, they all graduated from high school on time. Thank God for that. No teen parents. Thank God they didn't come up statistics to the streets because of all the violence in Chicago. Because of a strong woman and mother and determination that I had to set a goal for my daughters.
And you have done an excellent job. And that's the reason why it's so important that we have Project Good. We want to give women like Tanya who are going through situations, opportunities, give them chances, allow them the help that they need to go back to school, to find another career, to go down another path, to be successful. And that's about what we're trying to do. We want Project Good to be an example so that we can have more sisters like Candace in Chicago and we can make it a much better place. So I want to thank her. I want to salute you. I want to congratulate you. Finish in school, take care of your girls. We love you and all that you do. And now you can help us finish mentoring these young ladies. And that's really what your gift is. And I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to this.
All right. As I always say, thank you for tuning in to our Group Talk Revelations.
But first, I have to talk to you about a great idea for holiday gifts. Don't gift another gadget that your friends and family will only use once and then lose before the new year. Give them a gift they will actually learn to love. Give off
Always would give
Candice or with done something different, you know? Or with code Candice at checkout. Give a gift they'll remember. Give good gestures. Hindsight is 20/20. Anything that looking back you think, you know what? I got that one wrong. Or I
I wish I had this knowledge. I could have done something different, you know? It's easy, obviously, it's hard.
But always, at any time, no matter what your success, you always would do certain things a little bit differently or differently. The biggest thing that we had tremendous success. The water was the strongest it's ever been. The economy was the best in history, and I did it twice. I had to do it after I had to rebuild it. After our friends from China either sent us or came in from China, and they should pay reparations, by the way. They should pay. Even they can't afford to pay the world because it's probably $60 trillion the damage they've brought. But they should pay reparations. They should not be allowed to get away with this. And people don't talk about that anymore either. But I would say the big thing would be certain people I would have used differently. I would have put different people in certain positions. If I had a choice, I don't have to go specifically, but I can give you names at a later date. But there'd be people, I had great people too, you know, rebuilding the military, all the things I did. We had great generals, but not the television generals. There were certain people that I would not have put in, I would have put somebody else in. But at the time, I had spent 17 days of my life in Washington, D.C. And now I know it better than anybody, and I know the good. I know we have some great people. And I would say probably more than anything else, I would have made put certain people into positions that I didn't give. I took somebody, put them in a position, and I didn't like the job they did.
I think definitely. And perhaps some snakes around you as well.
We had some snakes, yeah. And look, you always do. No matter what business, whether it's politics or anything else, you always do. I had some very loyal people, I had some very disloyal people, very bad people. But I think this is true with companies. If you're running a big company, sometimes you make a decision to put somebody there, and it always happens. It's rare that you go through, a long period of time and everybody's just perfect. But I know people that would have done great jobs in certain positions, and I didn't like the jobs that certain people did. And usually I fired them. And every time when you fire somebody, it's a big deal. But usually I fired them. Although we had great people.
video, obviously I've been covering extensively how hyper-sexualized the culture has become. This is just not the same America that I grew up in, and obviously as someone who grew up, used public transportation, buses, subways, seeing this stuff as an ad, like people with their tongues touching and saying pansexual for an ad for OK Cupid, how do you guys feel about it?
Well, I think that, I want people to understand that it's not an accident. It's not like somebody accidentally drew it up, and people spend billions of dollars in marketing. So it's a strategic marketing strategy, and it is effectively hurting our youth. Grown-up adults who are participating in this, they may understand how to deal with the images that they see, but young kids are not able to process this properly. However, I do believe that it's targeted to get young people's minds, conditioned, so when they do